and your Norwegian grandfather uh, was my current employer is pretty blah. You know, I mean, there's nothing about him that is evokes archetypal images. You know, and my grandfather now he was different. I mean, my paternal grandfather who was Norwegian and spoke Norwegian, and my paternal grandmother who was half Chippewa Indian. They were just very important figures in my life, you know. And but my grandfather was much older than me. He was born in 1878, so he was 22. He was in his 70s when I was born. So I mean, but anyway, I what's the and he was a very poor man, but he was the very rich men in town really respected him, and there was one time where it was when interest rates, I don't know if you remember when they were like 18, 19%, you know.
80s.
Yeah, and this building that we were renting for one of the meat markets was the guy that owned it was there was two a Jewish partnership that owned it. One owned the this great big furniture store, and the other one owned the bank, this great Guaranty Bank. And everywhere I went, no one would loan us money to buy the building. They said they were going to sell it because they could earn 12% on the money, more than 12% that the rent was making. So they want to take the cash and put it where they could earn 18%. So finally, I go and ask this accountant guy I know, um, we can't, he's going to sell the building out from under us unless we can get a loan on it. And nobody will loan us the money. And then it says, well, the guy that owned the building was named Harold Becker, and he was the one that owned the bank. And he says, this accountant guy says, ask Harold, I bet he'll approve that loan. So I go over, I call up Harold, and not Harold, but somebody that worked for him, and they said, just a second. They went to talk to Harold, and then they said, yeah, we'll approve it, don't worry. And I said, well, should we send you financials and everything? He says, no, Harold said he knew your grandpa, so you don't need to give us financials.
Wow.
Now that's a neighborhood bank for you, I'll tell you.
That's a neighborhood bank. Wow.
Yeah, well, Harold was this really cool Jewish guy that had a ponytail and had a young trophy wife and would drive around in convertibles everywhere. Well, Tim, whenever you're ready, we can talk about your dream.
All right.
Yeah, all right. And I was just telling him before you came here that I think this dream is very, very consistent with all of your dreams.
Oh, are we going to paste it in the chat again?
Yes, I can certainly. Let's see here if I can find it. File, open. Okay. Let's see if this thing, darn it, this thing never loads it. I might have to just, if you don't mind, I'm just going to sign on with my iPad.
I don't know why I can't paste things in. I guess.
Well, I'm the same way. I mean, my iPad is the only way I can post anything. Let me see if you don't. Just be a second. I gotta. Okay, dial in, and then I gotta get rid of this stupid camera. So there we go. Okay, now I'm gonna put it in chat, and I have it right here. Okay. Yeah, this. I'm anxious to hear what everybody has to say about this, because at first it didn't seem like it hangs together, but it does. It really does hang together. I think I'd have to put it in twice because it's a little bit longer, but just a second here. How is Charles doing? Hmm. There we go. Just a second. There we
Oh, it's
go.
just another day at the grindstone, basically.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I think you secretly enjoy it.
um, yeah, I mean, I do.
I think you're secretly knowing that it is there, even though it's boring. Uh, it is actually it's. I think you're growing stronger and stronger. You know, every day, and I think once you get back to wherever you go afterwards, it's going to be a different story than it ever was before. Okay. Well, anyway, uh, I'll just start on it if you don't mind, unless you want to reread it, Tim. You want to reread it? Yeah, why don't you go ahead and reread it?
Thanks for breaking it into 3 parts. That helps.
Yeah, well, I did that for my own self.
The unfinished race. I'm with my sister witnessing part of a women's ultra marathon event on the outside of town. We're by a canal and watching women one by one coming down the canal, swimming, and entering a boat, which then turns a corner and then shoots them into a kind of pipe, which ends up at the end of the race. We see one woman come down and enter the boat, but then she's too tired to move anymore. I'm standing on a concrete edge, and a COVID face mask flies past me. I chase it, but the wind keeps blowing it beyond my reach. Somehow I end up in Bozeman, where I think the end of the race is, at a hotel where there's a convention of some kind going on. I'm wandering around inside through empty halls, though the activity is somewhere else. I open the door to one room and see a sleeping figure in a bed. I close that, continue down the hall to another door, to a convention hall. Open that, and inside there's a man and a woman are collecting objects, detritus at the end of an event, to put in a box. And I walk away with the box of items and suddenly realize, hey, what am I doing? And return it to put the stuff back. I don't know how I'm going to get home, and I wonder if I can ask the hotel for anyone going back to Helena who might be driving to give me a ride. But of course, they won't give that information. Besides, the front desk is simply a kiosk with no humans. I think I may as well get a room, but then I remember Nancy lives in town. I try to dial her number, but I cannot make my fingers spell her name on the phone. A woman is watching over my shoulder. I'm very confused how I got myself here.
This is just, it is a beautiful, beautiful dream. I mean, it really is. Even though it seems to have frustrating aspects, I mean, these images, just like those last couple, they just hit you, really hard. So anyway, it's called The Unfinished Race, which is exactly the correct title, I think. All right, now let's just go through it, and I think I want to see if I can demonstrate how it all holds together. I'm with my sister witnessing part of a woman's ultra marathon event on the outside of town. So we are, the familial feminine is near, and we are there to witness an an event of high import, something that is supposedly, ultra, and has to do with the feminine, and it's being held right outside the collective conscious field that is outside of town. So it's not inside of town. It's kind of out of the. It's sort of a little bit in the. There's an aspect that it isn't in too near the collective consciousness. Now this is where it really, and Roy did such a good job last time. We're by a canal and we're watching women one by one swimming down the canal, entering a boat, which then turns a corner and then shoots them into a kind of a pipe, which ends up at the end of the race. And we're assuming that's the hotel in Bozeman, Okay, so now we're by a place where now this is important, and I'm going to try to say what I think it says, but I know that we can do a better job. We're at a place where consciousness channels the unconscious. In other words, this is not a natural, free flowing river. You know, this is ego consciousness has constructed a place to contain the flow of the unconscious. You know, so it's that channeling of the unconscious, and so now this is where the feminine race is going to be in this the feminine, the unconscious is the feminine. I mean, if you dream about the unconscious, you're dreaming about the nature and the feminine, and she, this is sort of her natural place, this unconscious, and she's the race is going to be that she is going to go down the channel that ego created, and then not only that, but then they're going to be put in another channel, a second channel, which is a pipe, and then the whole race is that they're going to be sent down constructs that were constructed by ego consciousness. So the ego consciousness is containing the free flowing river of the unconscious. They are channeling this race of the feminine, but what really says is then it also, ego consciousness built the pipeline. The feminine is going to be put into that. So this great display of the energy and dynamism of the feminine has a channeling aspect in it. It's an event designed by the conscious mind, which attempts to direct and guide anima energy. In other words, anima energy is not going to be allowed free flow here. It is going to be directed and guided by something that consciousness created. And then we see one woman. Now, what's the result of doing this? This is it. We see one woman come down and enter the boat, but she is too tired to move anymore. Okay. So finally, from this process of containing, confining, and guiding the anima through the constructs of consciousness and its controls and its forcing, the guiding, the vital energy of the anima wanes, and finally she doesn't move at all. So the anima within us has become static. There's no dynamic energy of the anima supplied to the psyche anymore. Everything within us is stopped and becomes still, at least when it comes to the anima energy. Then this last part, and now there's going to be several images like this of okay, we got this. This is where we're at. This is where we're ending. Is that the anima energy can't move anymore? It's just has all, because of the fact that it is not allowed free flow, unfettered flow. Its energy has slowly disappeared, and now does not move at all in the psyche. That's sort of a mini crisis, or a crisis. So then we have several images of what happens when anima doesn't move in us anymore. I mean, anima is life. Anima is nature within us. And when it isn't moving anymore, that's serious, okay? So we're standing on the concrete edge of the canal, not on the bank, but on the concrete edge. And then a mask flows by us, okay? So we chase it, but the wind keeps blowing it beyond our reach. So the dream ego is trying to wear A mask. Now, a mask uh, is, especially a COVID mask. You know, normally a mask is the word persona means mask. The persona is the mask that Greek actors would wear. You know, with the big smile or the big frown or something. You know, and it means sound piercing through persona. So the mask means that uh, that what's behind it flows through the mask. Okay. So anyway,
It
that
means
now
what piercing through?
sound, sona, it's like sonar.
Oh,
Yeah. Persona. It means the sound piercing through. And particularly the COVID mask, it's not even a mask of happiness or a mask of sadness or a mask of slyness or deviousness. It is a mask that just covers our face, you know. I mean, now you could say it has a purpose, but it just basically, I had a doctor tell me who was lamenting the fact this last couple of years, and he's a doctor, and he says, I don't think it's a good idea for children to be raised without seeing people's facial expressions, you know. But anyway, the COVID mask, I'm not saying anything about it other than it's a very strange mask, one that is sort of this collective thing, you know, and it is, well, anyway, let's just keep going. Um, so now we end up at Bozeman at a hotel where there's some kind of a convention going on. So the race ends up at a collective dwelling place, a conventional place, a place where there's conventions. I'm just wondering if that's a play on words, you know, a conventional place. I'm wandering around inside through empty halls, though there is activity somewhere. So ego is kind of lost. The place, it's empty halls. We're the only one there. It's barren and empty. I mean, it's particularly chilling when the front desk is a kiosk. It's just an empty place, you know. And remember, we just heard the anima doesn't move in us anymore. And but there is some implied activity, but just not where ego is, you know. And then we enter one room and see a sleeping figure in a bed. So the first figure we see, the first occupant we see, he's asleep. He's dead to the world. I mean, this is a strange hotel. Everything's empty. We're the only ones there, you know. And then we finally, through another door, we find a man and woman who are collecting the things that had been abandoned by a more the purpose of this. So they're coming in afterwards and scavenging, and then the dream ego starts doing it too, scavenging what has been abandoned, but then suddenly decides that these things are either of no value or they're illegitimately obtained, and so it puts them back. So now we don't know how we're going to get home, and we wonder if we can ask the hotel if anyone from Helena might be driving back. Well, we don't even know how we got here in the first place, and we don't find it. There's nothing here for us. It seemed like a useless exercise because there was no race. We, at least if it had finished, we didn't witness it. We didn't get to see it. So this what is called this race. The unfinished race is a good word, because what it seemed, the race seemed to do really was just to kill the anima within us. And I think it was because of all of its pipelines and its canals and its channeling the autonomous, free flowing energy of the anima. So then here's the end of this is really a bang. I love this ending. But of course, they won't give that information. Besides, the front desk is simply a kiosk with no humans. That is a powerful image. That is a powerful image. So we think we might get a room, but then we remember that there's a feminine figure in town, and this is another powerful image, and it's one I've had in my dreams. But my fingers don't work. So now, how many things here? The wandering around the empty halls, finding a room, but everybody's asleep. Finding convention hall, but everybody's gone, and there are just people there picking up what was abandoned and left. And then we're lost. We go to the front desk. It's run by a kiosk, not by humans. And then the one human we know of in that town, we can't dial her phone up. Now, this is all the things that happened after that one anima couldn't move anymore. So anyway, do you see? I think it kind of flows together a little bit. I mean, at first I was a little lost, but I think it does really. What do you think, Roy?
I don't know. I just feel like I'm in a ghost town or something. And
Yeah.
somebody's just stuck in the past or something. Hello. I don't know. I'm lost on this one. It's not. There's nothing coming alive in this dream.
Well, I would say that now to remember what followed the fact that, which is the most important part of the dream, is the anima that, what does it say exactly? It says that she is too tired to move anymore. Now, I'm saying this is because the free-flowing energy of the anima is being channeled by ego consciousness. So the anima energy in us just dies. That can't be. We cannot channel, we cannot contain or control or guide the completely. Remember that feminine energy, nature energy, came way before ego consciousness did. It's wild. It is absolutely free. Now that is the feminine unconscious, and now it enters this strange world of canals and pipelines. And at that point, even though let's just say this is not modern woman ego. This is the ancient energy of the anima. Now, see, what I'm thinking, and I mentioned this last time, that it is very similar to the crazy woman dream and wanting to put her in the insane asylum. This free, what did you call that it was the, well, anyway, they lived by the river, and they were free there. But I thought there was something, I can't remember what it was that we said. But it was something. What do you think, Gary? You look deep in thought.
Yeah, well, so, we see instinct in this, and if instinct can be, approached two ways. I mean, you can have intellectual instinct, and that kind of leads to clouds in the sky or maybe something like Apple. And then you can have feeling instinct. And feeling instinct takes us to, that's where we can get to the unconscious, and that's where we can make connections to things like the anima. That's where we can really grow spiritually. So we start off with, apparently what is an intellectual instinct channeling the anima, as you said. But that doesn't work, because the anima can only respond to a feeling instinct. And then we have this thing with the mask, and the mask is, we're chasing the mask. You know, we see, and what is the mask? The mask is something to protect us from things in the air. You know, it's almost like it's almost like something that closes us off from spirit. And so, and it remains out of reach, you know, just like the race couldn't be finished. The race couldn't be finished by the enema, and the persona that is the one of COVID, and it protects us from, you know, being, and that, but that doesn't work, you know. It's like we chase the intellectual instinct maybe, and that just doesn't, it doesn't lead us anywhere. Well, where it does lead us, it's blowing beyond the reach. So where does it lead? It leads once again to something which is empty. It's empty because it's not of the feeling instinct. It's empty because it's, you know, you got there through the intellect. And that's, and so at the end, you're trying, you know, when we type or do those types of things, that's instinctual. And, but you can't, you know, but you can't reach, you know, you can't reach this instinctual part of you to spell the name of the woman who can take you back. And that's because you ended up in an intellectual place instead of a feeling place. And then the woman watching you there, you know, I feel like this is kind of like the one that can take you back. And she's just waiting for the opening, you know? So that's kind of how I would read it.
She's like the friend of the woman in she's like, she is, I think, the same woman that grabbed our rear end in that slow dance.
Oh yeah,
And waiting.
yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, but she can take us back. You know, she's the one that we need to go with.
Yeah, I think you really, that was a wonderful addition, is that the problem is that the anima responds only to eros and to the feeling function. Have you ever had a woman, you know, tell you a problem, and then you start giving all these solutions, you know, well,
Right.
maybe
Not
this.
what she wants to
No.
hear.
She just wants you to listen and give her comfort.
Right.
Does not want to hear how to get out of that thing, you know. So the idea here, I think, in what you're saying, is that's what the feminine requires from us. That's what the feminine requires from the dream ego. And yet the dream ego is trying to channel and guide and send them down pipelines and everything like that. I mean, it's like they have no room to maneuver, you know. Now, this is what the dream ego appears to be offering the feminine. You know, that's not what she requires, not what just she wants, but what she absolutely needs to nourish her. That's what the animus needs to provide her, is comfort. You know, comfort my people. It was that beautiful song in Isaiah or Psalms. But that's what she needs. And the fact that all we're giving the anima is straight line channels and pipelines and COVID masks and things like that. Now, I think that the dream really ended when the anima that is can't move anymore. At
Right.
that point, the dream was really over. What follows is the is this is is giving us a portrayal of our ego without the anima.
And where it will take us to, a
Yes.
place that's empty.
A place that's empty. There's no life there, because what is life? Life is the anima. So with that's what the anima actually told me one time. She says, "What do you think it would be like to live without me?" She said, "Think about it." You know. So I think everything following that is showing us what it would be like to live without her. You know, it's just you know, I mean, that we're encountering the thinness of the masculine ego, the thinness of the intellect, how empty it is, how there is no life in it, you know, that it's just completely dead. And what does it say to have a front desk with just kiosks? There's no feeling function here whatsoever. You don't need humans to check you out. We'll use computers to do it. You know, you want somebody to greet you and say hi? No. There's no feeling function here. You don't need it, you know? So I'm just saying that I think that following pretty much the sign of the anima can't move anymore. Everything following that is just a portrayal of our life without her, you know. And the see, in how many places does it say where the feeling function isn't working? You know, the sleeping person, the only occupied person is sleeping. The only other two couples we see are just going scavenging, you know, trying to you know, they're just greedily getting the refuse that was left. And ego tries to present, and then in the end, we can't even dial, we can't get our fingers to even operate with the feeling function. And this is because the anima is static and there's no dynamic energy provided from her anymore. And so I think this is showing us that the anima within us needs to be given, we need to be her servant through eros and the feeling function, you know, through being a servant to the life force, you know, and not confronting it with intellect or with canals or with pipelines or with insane asylums, you know, or anything like that. Well, anyway, let's let Charles. Are you available, Charles? Can you?
Oh yeah, I've been
Yeah, okay.
Tentatively listening.
Okay. What do you think?
Well, I would call this dream no one's home. That's what I would call it. I think, you know, for a few reasons, but honestly, I mean, one thing that just jumps out to me that I'm surprised no one has said yet, it's like, what is the anima doing running an ultra marathon? Like that's some type of like ego
Masculine
accomplishment
event.
type stuff. Yeah, that is not like, it's not
Not a feminine.
creative. Yeah, it's not creative. It's not feminine. But I would say, the anima is exhausted because we're asking her to run an ultra marathon. And I would say that Tim does get the face mask. That is, oops, trying to go to the text for the dream. That's the stuff that he finds in the hotel. That's the face mask. So he gets it, but realizes that he doesn't really need it. And yeah, I mean, and another thing that jumps out to me is he's trying to get home. So he's not oriented in even the, you know, correct place. He's, and, you know, this is just all my, you know, amateur nonsensical opinion. So, you know, this is just me freeballing, but it's like, he's not, I mean, he's not home. How, that's like one of the, to me, that is a profound thing in a dream, to not be home, to be trying to get home. And then and where you are, it's just some empty hotel with a convention going on somewhere. No way to get home. You don't know anybody. It's has a non-human element to it. It's all very sort of, it's all very cold. And I feel like that all comes down to the fact that, you know, the dreamer is asking the feminine within them to run an ultra marathon. And it's that life force is exhausted. And so there's no proper like union going on. Because I think the whole freaking point of doing any of this is to have that alchemical wedding. I think that's kind of really what it's all about. But that's what I think. I think right there at the beginning of the dream, Anima's running an ultra marathon and can't even freaking move anymore because she's so goddamn exhausted. And it makes me think, what if I had a dream where my hamster was just running and running and running and running and just collapses of exhaustion? I would be like, you know, it would break me inside. That would be awful. That's not what the hamster's for. That's supposed to take care of it and provides my creative spirit. But yeah, that's all.
Well, Charles is a member of the hamster clan. Seriously, you know, like you would be a member of the turtle clan. If the turtle gets sick in the turtle clan, that's a crisis for the, and he really is a member of the hamster clan. But that is very important. You know, I tried to several times try to describe what the ultra marathon event of women were like. Let me just see what I said. The most amazing feminine event. But you know, I was going, this is the most amazing feminine event. You know, I mean, it's there's nothing wrong with unbelievably talented female athletes, but it's not. How does that have anything to do with the alchemical wedding or whatever? But okay, Tim, it's a powerful dream. I mean, it's a wonderfully powerful dream, and I think it ties in with almost the entire opus of all your other dreams. What do you think?
Yeah, you guys nailed it. One thing that just occurs to me is the whole second part of the dream, or the second and third part, the ego is just trying to do all these things to make a connection, and nothing works. The ego has to learn how to be in the presence of this woman in order to make the connection. It's the logos is just trying to overpower the situation, and it's just, that's nothing you try is going to work that way. So yeah, I think we really nailed it.
Yeah, it just seems that the first half of the dream is telling us that effectively our anima is inert right now. There's something in us that the anima is inert. And then because the anima is inert, here is our portrayal of life without her. And, you know, mine told me, you're screwed without me. You are absolutely screwed without me. You don't know you are, but you are. You try living without me and see how you like it. Roy, you seem like you were having some thoughts about it. Did you have any more thoughts?
Well, you know, it's a great curiosity to me, Tim, because usually a woman or get a man to do something he's never done before, drive him crazy, get under his skin, or make him do something irrational, or something that he never thought he could do. But not Tim, not Tim. You know, it's just a great mystery to me. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, it is. It is a mystery because I think the thing that I see, that the outer Tim is a very sensitive artist, but this portrayal by the dream maker is saying that that the image that the dream ego has of the anima is its own creation. It is not the living anima. So I think the only thing I can think of is that the dream ego has it's saying, I'm not saying this is true, but I'm just speculating that the dream maker is saying that the dream ego, has constructed a paper mache of what it thinks the feminine should be like, but the feminine is a living being. She has nothing to do with our paper mache image of her. You know. Now, now I thought about this, Tim, and you tell me. Now, first of all, this we had a kind of a cathartic event this weekend where we had one of our granddaughters has a slightly autistic child, and she's been sheltered with COVID, and then she comes with all these happy-go-lucky children, and it was kind of a heartbreaking contrast with showing her mother, how profound she needs help. Okay, but the idea here, I think, is that the dream here is telling us. Well, I think the first thing it's telling us is this: I am alive. I am the unconscious, and I am alive. You don't think I am, but I am living, and I am not you. When are you going to realize I am a living being? You're treating me conceptually, and sort of like Captain Lindenhuis. It's just you're treating me, the unconscious, who is a living force in you. In fact, you're living in me, ego. I'm not living in you. You're my projection. I'm not your projection. And you don't give me the respect that I need. You don't honor me as your container. The psyche, I contain you. I'm alive. I am far more profound than you are. And yet the ego is holding on to its self-willed aspect that it is the God. Not that it is a inhabitant of this little God within us that is us. So I think, to me, what a lot of these dreams are saying is it is trying to show us that it is alive. It is not you. It has its own consciousness, which is absolutely not us. There's no connection with us at all. It is like another person. And yet we are acting as if it is only a theoretical concept, Now, here's the one other thing I wanted to add to this. And again, Tim, this is just total speculation. It almost seems as if the obstacle between us and this living presence is that art between us that has become like a Pygmalion. You know, we're waiting for the art to come alive, when really what is alive is the thing that is behind the art, not the art itself. Now, that is absolutely, there's nothing about that that I can prove or anything, or I mean, it's just, I was trying to get my dog to shut up by muting myself. But anyway, anyway, you know, I don't know, Tim. I'm probably way off base there. What do you think? I mean, first of all, don't even say what you think, because it's
The,
just
the thing in itself, I mean, everybody, scientists, artists, all that, they're trying to create something, but they can't create the thing in itself.
Mhm.
You know, they only have models and things. They can't, you can't capture the thing in itself. And I think when a scientist thinks it's possible, an artist, then they're really fooling themselves. I mean, I wonder if they think about that. I wonder if an artist thinks about that, or the scientist. You know, the philosopher does. You know, like Lao Tzu and stuff does. They say, "Oh no, there's no way. You can't capture the thing itself."
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Tim. You go ahead, because you know, you have a depth that we don't understand really, and,
Well,
and we only see the surfaces.
a male artist creating art is about the most um, is about the most feminine activity that is available. But I think Roy is right. It's still not it.
Mhm.
No, it's not it.
It's in the living. It's in the moment. Like I went out, took a walk just at sunset last night, and something about the light um, just flooded me with this sense of nostalgia and memory. It was all very, very foggy, but it was totally being immersed in this feeling. And that strikes me as the kind of thing that we're talking about. It's, you know, being alive in the moment and being in relation to this great mother nature, where that real feminine juice is available. So it's really very enlightening to me. So thanks very much.
Yeah, I would say one thing, and I'm probably the only person who really thinks this, but I say it even though I embarrass myself by saying it, is that we need, you know, first of all, is the idea of humility. You know, like, why don't we hear the voice of God anymore? And the rabbi says, because no one can stoop that low. You know, I think the idea here, it's just, this is my own way of approach, and I don't recommend, I did recommend it to Charles, is that we need to pray to that force behind our art. We need to be a devotee of it. We need to pray to it. We don't need to worship it, but we need to honor it with gratitude and with rituals of gratitude. And as if, now let me just say this, you know, is as if it is alive, and it is alive, but do it as if it is alive. You know, now I say that, and you know, it's a very old-fashioned thing to say, you know, but I mean, but to me, it is a very healing thing to say, because, you know, it's one thing to go around with ecstasy, saying namaste everywhere, and, you know, doing all these things, but really, what we're doing, we're being an inflated ego doing all that shit, you know. I mean, I think that what we need to do is humble ourselves before the source of all of our art. No, not humble ourselves, but I guess what I mean by humbling ourselves is that we need to depress, or we need to lower the level of ego and realize that this is the primary source, not us. You know, and we're going around going namaste and everything like that. I mean, what we're really saying namaste to is our ego. What we need to do is go in and, again, we are to be equal partners with this self, this inner self. But we need to realize it's primary, and we need to say to it that we are grateful for this little bit of consciousness we have and for the gift that we've been given, you know. And I think that that humility goes a long way. You know, that's what the rabbi told the way to hear the voice of God is to stoop low enough so that you can hear it. But anyway, I just thrown that out there.
You know, I think maybe another way to see that too is that it's moving from a state of knowing to unknowing, where, you know, you no longer have that attitude of, you know, I get it, or but I am in the relationship that I need. You know, you have to go beyond the ego. You have to go beyond the intellect. It has to, and feeling would be a state of unknowing.
Yeah, you know, Marie Louise von Franz would say every once in a while, she'd say about people in a certain time. She said, unfortunately, it was a time of an economic boom, so no one listened to God anymore.
Mm.
You know, I mean, when times are very, very good, yeah, she says, unfortunately, everything was going very well. So these people did not, that there was just the aspect, it's just almost impossible to live in an age where there's, you know, we're somewhat, we at least we're not in want, and not have the ego be a little bit inflated and a little bit distracted by how comfortable it is. You know, when you take all that away, you know, anyway, Tim, I would say this is a incredibly profound dream, because to me, this is a almost, this is a statement of the psyche announcing its presence, you know, and saying, you know, you're killing me with your the fact that I don't know. I mean, that was my one way of non-killing, is to suddenly be, you know, to humble ourselves before that living anima. Instead of trying to put her in an insane asylum, go to the river and bow down to her and say, you know, this is where you belong. This is your natural place. You are life. You are the living force of nature. And here you are in nature right now. And I am this thin thing from a different place. And anyway, I'm just saying, I don't know how it's really this is sort of what they call an enunciation, you know, an announcement, you know.
I wanted to bring up a kind of thought that had occurred to me, and I don't know, I just wanted to know what Tim thinks about it. You know, it just kind of popped up in my head. Well, you know, what kind of person would, let's just say, what kind of person would ask someone or challenge someone to run an ultra marathon? And it just made me think of the drill sergeant. And it kind of, I don't know, just the idea of that this might have somewhat of a shadow influence in the dream, or that the shadow could be influencing the relationship to the anima. And I was just curious what Tim might think about that.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about the shadow making demands like that on the anima. I would think it more likely that the anima is just trying to break through, you know, and doing a bunch of ridiculous things like, okay, if you're not going to listen to me, how about if I run a damn marathon? You know, then will you pay attention? It's just running herself into the ground. But that's a really interesting idea. I think I'll journal about that and see what comes up.
I think that the one thing, and maybe Charles, you could say, but I mean, I was kind of with you, Charles, is I think the ultra marathon event is an event that was planned by the masculine, not by the feminine. Is if I remember someone was talking about the difference between an introverted sensate and an extroverted sensate. If you're a woman, you know, and the extroverted sensate, when she throws a party, everybody that is anybody is there. She's got these fabulous dinners. You know, there's this just lavish, party decorations and everything. Well, the introverted sensate, it is almost like the high mass. There's these rituals that you go through, you know. But the whole idea is, what would the feminine, if it was the ultra feminine event, would it be a marathon? You know, a show of strength? I mean, is that what the woman is supposed to do, is show her strength? I mean, she doesn't, you know, that's not displaying the feminine in its most powerful, its magical powers is not strength and endurance. It's nurturing and creating and love. You know, love, LOVE. You know, that's what would be the ultimate feminine event. Something to do with a cathedral of love or something like that. You know, and anyway, I think, Tim, this is a dream that we might want to address again after we've slept on it a little. It's particularly you, and I mean, you sleep on it a little, because, you know, sometimes these things are so startling, you know, and then so there's a sense of being startled, and then there's a sense of assimilating, and then integrating, you know, and so a 2 or 3 nights sleep, especially if we keep paying it careful attention, is going to make it speak to us in a new way, you know. But
yeah, makes good sense.
Yeah. Charles, did you have a dream that you kind of are due? Get us.
Yeah, I wanted to share the dream with everyone that we talked about the other night.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. I mean, really, any hamster dream that I have pretty much takes priority over all the other dreams, unless it's some really crazy archetypal dream. So this was on May 21st. It's really short. I was checking on my hamster, Hugo. My mom said that he was okay, and sort of, you know, was like, oh no, he's all right, you know, you don't need to check on him. But I went and checked on him anyway, and his cage was not in very good shape. And I saw Hugo, and I think I may have picked him up and was looking at him kind of closely at this point. But I saw him, and his eyes were huge and colored red and yellow. To me, in the dream, it seemed like they were very like diseased. I knew that it meant that he was now blind. And I try to reach my hand into the cage and carry him somewhere, but I sort of destroy the cage while trying to get to him. For some reason, there was a zip line in his cage. I don't know how hamsters can use zip lines, but it's a interesting addition to a hamster cage. But so I reach in there, kind of destroy his cage, and I get him into my hand, and I know that he was going to bite me, but I just hold him anyways, and he just latches on with his teeth and continuously bites me. And I sort of just walk off to try to find a better place for him. And it was all pretty upsetting
Very
dream.
upsetting.
I felt kind of like distressed and upset in the dream. Which is not uncommon at all. I mean, most of my hamster dreams, I am really sad or incredible deep affect over what's going on with my hamster. Here is the picture I drew. 1 second.
Mhm. It's a red
Shadow out
red
of it.
globe with 3 yellow, kind of almost cysts on the eyes.
Mhm.
You know, sort of a cyst-like substance. Yeah, it's a very good, and the hamster is beautiful. It's drawn with love. It really is. The nose and the furry appearance. Well, did you have anything more on it, Charles, or should we get started on it?
No, I'm just curious what
Yeah.
what everyone thinks. I mean, I guess I'll just say that I think my hamster represents sort of like life itself.
Yes.
And that it's like the most. Oops, I had my headphones on the wrong way. It's like the most sacred object in my life. It's like I care about the hamster almost more than anything. I mean, I love my hamster. Like, I absolutely love him, and
It's the
I really wish
feeling.
I had him here.
Yeah, it's the feeling function. Okay. Now, first of all, let's just go through this. Now, first of all, everybody can say, oh, the hamster, that's a silly animal. No, not with Charles. With Charles, and it would be just like if you were to tell a member of the turtle clan, oh, the turtle is a silly animal, or the member of the blue jay clan, that the blue jay, oh, that's just what's so great about a blue jay? It is represents, to me, it is both the anima and the self. The hamster is representing the life force in Tim. Tim, Charles, in Charles. And, like my wife told me one time that when her hero in her life was her father, and as he had a stroke, and she said as his energy ebbed, it was just like in E.T., where E.T. goes down. It wasn't some little boy, his energy goes down, or was it the other way around? I forget. So somehow E.T. lost all its energy because of what? I can't remember what it was. But anyway, the hamster, we have to remember, is a living manifestation of the life force in Charles. Now, Roy has a lot of dreams like this that are this elemental, instinctive aspect, which can only be represented in animal form. Okay. Now, in this case, in Charles, the hamster is representing the life force, the self, eros, the unconscious, and the anima. So really, it is the psyche. It really is representing the inner world and that everything in ego that we lack. So it really is also our redeemer, Now, not the physical hamster, but just the ideas that are the cluster thinking. You remember, if you ever seen that picture, Edward Edinger writes of cluster thinking, everything that's tied into the image of blood. There's about 1 million different images that are tied into it, but blood is the central image. Same thing with the hamster, the self, the psyche, nature, the life force, eros, the life. That's what it is. Okay. Now, we are going to check on it. Okay. It hasn't been checked on for a while. The mother. Now, who's the mother here? The mother is something that not Charles' physical real mother, but there is a mother aspect in Charles that is he needs to transcend. He needs to leave her world and get up in his what did you call that thing? The gliding parachute or something. What is
Hang
it?
glider.
Yeah, hang glider. That's you're entering the father world over there. But the mother says, "Oh, it's okay. There's nothing wrong." Now, how does she know that? And it isn't okay. Okay. Number one is it does not have an appropriate dwelling place within us. Okay. Its dwelling place within us is not appropriate to it, to its importance in us. So, in other words, the dwelling place of this thing within us is not appropriate to it. Okay, and we then notice the eyes, that they're red with looks like yellow cysts on them, and actually there's one red dot and three yellow dots, so it's like a quaternity. Now I don't know. I mean, what that represents, but to say that it's the heart and the intuition which the colors represent, I don't think really it gets it, because this is a tragedy. You know, the life force within us is blind because of two reasons. One is lack of attention, and one because apparently the mother world was tending it, not us. And three, it doesn't have appropriate dwelling place within us. And for those three reasons, it is diseased and wounded, okay, and has become blind in us. So the life force, the anima, and the psyche within us is blind because of our lack of attention, because it was be intended by the devouring mother, and that it didn't have the appropriate dwelling place in us. So it's blind and diseased, as is our life force, as is our anima, as is the self within us, as is our psyche. Okay, so we are going to find it appropriate dwelling place. So we reach in to grab it, and it is so unconscious that now it attacks ego a little bit. It bites it, latches onto it. It's just trying to defend itself because it's blind, doesn't know what's grabbing it or what's taking it, And so now the ego has been given a task, and that is to find the appropriate dwelling place for the life force within us. And it's not in care of the devouring mother. And it's not in a place where ego gives it no attention, And it is very upsetting. And it is upsetting because it's us, This to me is the same thing as the anima that in Tim's dream that suddenly can't move anymore. Tim, the threat to Tim is the same threat to you, Charles. That this aspect of and your life force seems to be dying because of those three reasons. You don't even know what's going on with it. You haven't looked at it for such a long time. Secondly, it's in the care of someone who really doesn't have our interest at heart, the devouring mother. She doesn't want us to ever develop fully human. And then the third aspect is the not an appropriate dwelling place. So what would be the appropriate dwelling place? It would be in a very honored spot within our ego attention. Anyway, Roy, what do you think?
Yeah, this for me is under the theme of okay, the enchanted castle in the forest is under attack. It always happens. It's just a matter of time. So Charles has been under siege for a while. And this is going to precipitate the hero's journey. He has to go out there and establish himself in the real physical world. That's going to mean a lot of suffering. And then he can come back and get the hamster and nourish it back. So he's in the hero's journey part now.
Yeah, that's very good. Very good. What do you think, Tim? Now, I always thought you could be an analyst. You're very good at with dreams.
I was really surprised to hear that the hamster is a male. I always thought of Charles Hamster as being a anima figure, but Charles, can you just talk about that for a minute? What is it? It makes sense to me that that's the life force, but how is that related to the anima for you?
Because, you know, well, I don't know. I sort of, just by nature of looking at all my hamster dreams, it just seems to be like the anima figure, just because also by nature of me not having a lot of dreams with female people in them. But it, like, all of my feeling, all of my sense of caring is all within my dreams, is all directly connected to the hamster. And I believe that it has to do with creativity also, because all of my dreams in which I was able to have some sort of creative breakthrough, I have this deep affect, which is the same affect I had when, you know, I rescued my hamster in my very first hamster dream. He was being bathed in, like, he was like not doing well, and my mother was bathing him in cold water. And I came in there and, you know, said, "What the hell are you trying to do? Kill him?" And I ran him under warm water, and like his phallus became erect. And that to me just made it very clear that he has to do with creative energy and just the life force in general. The hamster dreams just invoke. So I just care about the hamster. I mean, pretty much more than anything, as far as my dreams go. But yeah, I can't say really definitively why I connect him to the anima.
Well, it makes
But,
sense
yeah.
that there's that sense of wildness that I connect with my anima, that it's like a relationship with a wild animal. You know, when it's, in a way, an animal is an animal, but a wild animal has this extra dimension that no cat or dog or domestic animal is going to have. And to me, that's just really, really compelling in a kind of an erotic way. So the wildness itself has this anima quality to it that I pick up on. And it makes me think about the cage. So you kind of destroy the cage, getting him out of there. And it makes me wonder, one thing for you to think about or write about is the aspect of containing that wildness. How much of that is protection? How much of that is control? How much of that is trying to protect yourself from the wildness? Because obviously, when you reach in there, you know you're going to get bitten. And sure enough, you get bitten. So the I think of it as like kind of like a snake bite. There's a magical element to that bite that can transport you into another realm. So there's a
Healing.
yeah, there's a kind of healing element to that, and I can't really get my head wrapped around it. But the wildness and the diseased eyes and your concern, all of that stuff is wrapped up in trying to transform this situation into something that is more whole. And I guess that's all I've got. I've got some friends coming here, so I might have to.
Yeah. Oh,
adapt.
okay. Well, thank you, Tim. That was wonderful. But you can thank you for your dream too.
Sure.
They're all very instructive to me. I don't know what you get out of them, but I get it. But I just would say, I just before we go to Gary, that the hamster Pan is a masculine figure, but no one would say he's related to the father world. He is a creature of the feminine world, and he is very body and things, but he is a creature of the feminine. And also the self is hermaphroditic, it is both male and female, so anyway, Gary, did you have any
Yeah, I guess I have a few comments. So the mother, attempts to distract, really, like everything's fine. Just stay, don't worry, There's no need for movement, is really what she's saying. And then when the state, when the awareness happens, it's like you realize that, this thing is in trauma. This is in shock, like really big eyes. That to me indicates shock. And that even though, you're its closest friend, that, you realize that you're going to be bitten. I really like what Tim had to say about the bite, that this is the same as a snake bite. That was really good. That this might actually be, a transformational type of thing. And that kind of reminds me of Iron John by Robert Bly. And you have to know, the wild thing. And in that, you had to steal the key from under the mother's pillow to free the wild man. Well, in this case, it's kind of synonymous because the hamster is the wild thing. And, and in that, he freed Iron John from, he stole the key, he frees Iron John from this prison that he's in within the castle, or the home. And then, and Iron John takes him to a new domicile, which is the wild, the forest. And this sounds very much like it's a very similar journey. I see commonalities. So, it really seems to relate to, everything that you're undergoing right now. And I think, with the separation from St. Louis, that your awareness and, and how you see things, you see it, you have an extra depth because of that. And, and you see some of the shock and trauma that, that you maybe weren't aware of before.
Maybe you looked at the hamster that 3 weeks after you moved to Maine, suddenly you remembered the hamster. And this was the condition it was when you left St. Louis, I think. And now you need to find a proper dwelling place for it. And you first discovered this when you were in Maine after 3 weeks.
And the other thing too is that, you know, it's kind of like the opening of the wild, you know, because there's the, you know, you're no longer in, you know, the home, so to speak. You know, you're now truly kind of on your own and separated, and you've taken that that really big step.
I'm thinking he should continue to stay away from home for a while, but I'm not sure. But Charles, do you have any final words on it? And then Tim, you go anytime. Don't worry about us. You know.
I'm just waiting for my friends to show up here.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I didn't want to go. Charles, do you have any final thoughts on it? Because it is a, I'm saying both these dreams are similar to me a little bit.
I feel like we have made some dents in it, but it hasn't really, the nut has not been cracked. I don't believe.
Okay. Can you give us some intimations about a mysterious aspect of it that we haven't touched upon yet?
Well, I think the blindness is, I don't know. I haven't heard a satisfactory answer yet.
To the blindness.
Yeah. I mean,
the
it's
blindness.
like
Go ahead.
you know, what does it mean that, you know, the thing that I love and care about, that is almost a manifestation of like the way I should take care of myself, you know, it can no longer see.
Temporarily. I
Yeah.
would say. And it's caused by, the blindness is caused by the lack of tending it and nurturing it. So in other words, it's blind because of our inattention to it.
You know, my muse is blind, and
Yes.
I've always thought that the reason is because I'm providing the logos and the direction that she needs in order to, for the two of us to work as a partnership. And maybe that's a similar thing going on here, that the wild animal has the impetus and this incredible energy, but it doesn't have the direction. And so maybe that's what you need to provide in partnership.
Yeah, I like that. That there's no direction, like it can't see its way forward, because the dream does end with me just walking off in no particular direction, just to find somewhere,
Proper
anywhere
dwelling
that's
place.
better.
The proper
Yeah.
dwelling place for it. You guys ever watch the Vikings? Seers are always blind. You know, this is the seer. I don't know if you've ever watched I think a History Channel, the Vikings, but it is one of the most sympathetic and authentic portrayals of the Norse religion, the pagan Norse religion, that you'll ever see. There's nothing about it that's cartoonish or whatever, but you know, I was just thinking of this figure when Tim said his muse was blind. Well, anyway, two beautiful dreams, and I think they're very, very related. And I mean, Tim, your dream gave me, it's probably better, more therapeutic for me than you, but anyway. Well, we'll see you guys all next time. And thank you for a lovely couple dreams there, guys. Roy and Gary and Tim and Charles. See you next time.
Okay, see you, everybody.
Bye, guys.